Holy cow. What, just a cow? Yes. History tends to repeat itself. I had a history teacher in elementary school tell me history always repeats itself. It may not be the same, there may be a different spin on it, but it always tends to repeat itself. It's sort of like deja vu. You know, if you look through history, it tends to repeat. You know, there's nothing original in history. There's something always happens more than once, and that's the way it goes with a lot of history. Is it tends to repeat. The biggest example is World War One and Two. It repeated. So that it tends to happen like that with a lot of history. And oh God. I hope we don't have to relive this shit. I hope not. We just went through this. Couldn't they have waited until our grandkids were around? Couldn't they have waited another 60 years before this happened again? Okay, if you haven't watched about my cruise ship video, which wasn't that long ago, less than a week ago, just a few days ago, there was, so to give you a little bit of a synopsis from that video, because it's pretty fresh in my brain, I talked about a cruise ship. Why would you want to go on a cruise ship? And they had an outbreak of the hate, as I call it the hate virus. It actually had a different name, but that's actually how I pronounce it, the hate virus. So they had an outbreak on the cruise ship, and the CDC came out and said, what, just a cow? Yes, the Center for Disease Control, they're pretty much, have always been full of shit. They were full of shit during COVID. They were full of shit before COVID. They were full of shit when Christ was around. So they've always been full of shit. And they say, I repeat this, they say the risk is low. You know what? Am I wrong on this? Because I swear, in a galaxy far, far, far away, before when COVID was just getting started, didn't I hear the CDC say the risk is low? History is tending to repeat itself because they said the same thing, the risk is low. But then, as we all know what happened. We gotta have 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and that never flattened the curve. And then everybody's wearing a mask and 6 feet apart, and everybody's hoarding toilet paper.
Except this time there won't be no help for pandemic stuff. We'll have to still work.
So, this is getting stupid. We're having cases break out here in the U.S. with the hate virus. But how do they know it's the hate virus and not COVID? Well, they have the symptoms. The symptoms sounds like a flu. Well, it almost sounds like a flu, you know, fatigue and, you know, coughing and sneezing, you know, the normal shit you get with a flu. Or a cold, whatever. It's just the same symptoms you get with a cold. So, I was thinking about this. What if, I know it's a dangerous game when I think, because I happen to think. What if they took a strain of COVID, I mean the CDC, because they like to play God. What if the CDC decided to take a strain of COVID and a strain of the hate virus and combine the two? What kind of virus would that be called? Good question. But the point is, They are manufacturing another another pandemic. It's basically what it is. They're trying to manufacture another pandemic.
Fear.
It's basically fear. But also, you gotta remember that the midterms are coming up. They've tried everything, literally everything, for when, I'm trying not to get too political here, but it doesn't matter at this point, is midterms is coming up, so they're trying to create a little bit of a fear panic, and they sort of manufactured another pandemic. I always assumed that there would be another pandemic. That's just the way it is. I always assumed that there would be another pandemic. But I thought it would be well past COVID because supposedly we still have COVID cases when I hardly ever see it anymore. But you randomly do hear people still getting COVID. But now you have this Heta virus and then it's going around. But as the CDC said, it's a low risk. Oh God, here we go again.
A lot of it's common sense stuff. Stay home when you're sick.
Yeah, a lot of people can't do that. When COVID first started, I was on board. Okay, I'm wearing a mask. I'm doing the 6 feet apart. But then, as the common sense sort of kicked in, and I was like, you know what? This is just stupid. I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm not going to do the 6 feet apart. I'll just go out the wrong door at Walmart. Anyway. And I was like, this is just common sense. I'm not even going to do that shit anymore. And I swear, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time before they say 2 weeks. We got to flatten the curve and start masking up. And they're already, if you can believe this, they're already trying to make, get ready people, get ready for the big one here. They're already, oh God, I can't believe this. It took them 3 years to make a COVID vaccine. So now they think because of all the experience they have behind making a vaccine, they can make one completely out of thin air. They are already making a Heta virus vaccine. The
Look
only
how well
cases.
The COVID one went.
Oh yeah, COVID one went really well. The only cases that we have with the Heta virus happened on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean. That is the only known one. Now, they had some in some foreign countries, like Switzerland, because they got off of the cruise ship and went to their country. So of course, they're gonna get people there. But anyway, so then they had some, get transported back to the U.S. and now they're starting to spread the Heta virus. Why did they keep them on the cruise ship? Just a random thought. Why did they keep them on the cruise ship until they were over it? That way it wouldn't spread, but of course they wanted to spread to create another pandemic. The only thing that's going to be different this time than the last time, people ain't going to fall for it. Well, some people will, but for the most part, a lot of people ain't going to fall for it. You're not going to have, the work thing you got where you couldn't go to work. So they gave you that. Pandemic unemployment. So they won't have the pandemic unemployment.
If you catch it, plan to go to work still.
I don't really see them giving us stimulus.
No.
I don't see that happening at all because workplaces, especially when I was working and I got sick, I tried to get a note from the doctor to give to my workplace, and they wouldn't even accept it. So workplaces aren't even accepting excuses anymore. If you're still breathing, you have 2 legs, 2 arms,
You're
and a working
able-bodied.
brain, you could pretty much go ahead and go to work even if you're deathly sick. That's how much workplaces actually care about what you have or if you don't have. Hell, workplaces even expect you to work after you've been to a funeral. That's how bad workplaces have become. Because I worked, a place I worked at, a woman had a miscarriage, and within like 2 or 3 days, they expected her back to work, even though she wasn't ready to go to work. Anyway, I'm going totally off base here talking about the Heta virus. And so get ready for the next pandemic. I thought they would wait. I thought they would wait a few years until COVID went by the wayside, but then again, am I surprised by this? No, not really, because they got to create these pandemics, viruses out of thin air. But then I have another question. How will they know if it's a flu, cold, Hetavirus, COVID, or any other freaking strain that they make out of thin air? Because that's what it feels like they're doing at this point, is making these viruses out of thin air. They being the CDC. Good Lord.
Me and Mom are saying that's all for now.
That's all for now.